Now, I don't need to tell you that interviewing for a job is stressful under the best of circumstances. Add to this the fact that we're transitioning from one career to another, and it becomes utterly nerve-wracking. But that's what we're going to have to do, so let's figure out how to do it right.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Preparing for an interview is all about research, researching the company, as well as researching the industry in which that company operates. It also means researching things like market comps and what the job market is like, how many people are applying for this job versus how many people are hiring for the job. There's a lot to consider, so let's break this down. First, learn everything you can about the company. What do they do? Who are their customers? Who are their competitors? How much market share do they control? What are their core competencies that allow them to differentiate themselves from their competitors? What is their reputation in the environment? And what are their core mission and values? Now, it's difficult for me to overstate how important this is. After all, you really want to communicate to the employer that you are on the inside, that you're part of the tribe. After all, in today's environment, what a lot of employers are doing is they're hiring for fit, thinking they can teach skills. So by demonstrating that you've done your research and that your values align with their values, you're communicating to them that you are a perfect fit. And trust me, this is going to go a long way in differentiating you from just some random job applicant. You want to show them that you're a top candidate. Next, research the industry in which this company operates. Is the industry in growth, or is it stable or in decline? What sort of laws, rules, and regulations govern this industry? What are the public perceptions of the industry? To what degree might the industry be recession-proof? And how susceptible might the industry be to new disruptive technologies? This shows the employer that you get the big picture, that you're not just looking at this from a tactical mindset, that you're taking a larger strategic mindset. And trust me, this is what employers are looking for, especially when they're thinking about management or leadership material. And this isn't a bad impression to leave with an employer. So once again, I really want to impress upon you the importance of doing this kind of research. I know it seems pretty perfunctory, but trust me, it is going to communicate a world of value to the employer. They're going to see that you're somebody who gets their problems, gets their industry, and is ready to step in and start contributing. Now, as I said earlier, you also want to research the market comps, the market comparisons, what the industry is willing to pay for this sort of labor. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret when it comes to how much will companies pay. There's no secret. It's actually very open knowledge that you can pull down with just a little bit of research. We kind of have in our minds that pay is some sort of secret formula figured out in back rooms and so forth, but this isn't the case. With just a little bit of research, you can figure out what the going rate is for the position that you're trying to hire on for. Now, that is going to come in real handy when you start negotiating salary, something we're going to talk about in a future episode. But right now, you really just want to figure out what are the market rates. After all, it's a free market system. They're willing to pay what people are willing to work for. Those numbers are not a secret. Now, there are many resources that you can use to get this information. One of my favorites is ONET Online. This is an invaluable resource to figuring out not only how much will employers pay, but how much education is necessary, what skills are necessary to break into that industry, things like that. You can also look at data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They have all kind of information about what is the going rate, the going salary for just about any job you can imagine. The next thing you want to do is research the market demand for your particular position. How many people are out there vying for this particular job? Now, here's the idea. If there are tons of people out there looking for this job and there's only a few jobs available, well, now you're not going to be in such a good position when it comes time to negotiate the salary. On the other hand, if there are tons of jobs to be filled and only a handful of people ready to fill them, now you're in a great position. So you want to understand what are the market forces at work with this particular job so that when it comes time to negotiate your salary, you're armed with information. The next thing you'll want to do is prepare questions that you can ask during the interview. You want to demonstrate to the interviewer that you're engaged and that you're interested in the position and that you're essentially interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. Now, I'm going to go over this more in a future episode, but let me just toss this out to you. If you go into an interview and do not ask questions and do not take notes during the interview, you will not get the job. Now, like I say, we're going to go over that in more detail later on, but right now, just understand that it's really in your best interest to take time to prepare questions. Now, with that said, what kind of questions should you prepare? Well, good ones, of course. But what's a good question? Well, a good question is one that is informed, you've done your research, uses industry acumen, and asks something that ultimately benefits the company. By this, I mean you're asking things that they frankly love to talk about or things that keep them up at night. So you're asking them questions about topics that really matter to them. Now, compare that with a question that doesn't matter to them at all. It just matters to you and is not strategic or insightful, but very tactical. So, for instance, if I were to ask, well, what's your paid time off policy? They're going to roll their eyes. It's like, hold on, we have all these problems, we need these skills, we have this vision, and we have these goals and objectives, and we have this growth plan. And you're asking me when you can get time off? That is not a question that's going to win you any champions. On the other hand, if you ask questions about what's happening with this new product, who's the customer for it, how have customers received this product, what sort of feedback have you gotten, do you have plans in place to expand the offering? These are things that psych them up and they're ready to talk about all day long. And they also demonstrate to them that you have their best interest at heart. And that's what they want to hear. Now, obviously, you have questions that are very tactical in nature and benefit only you, but you really want to understand that this time that you're going to have with the employer, well, it's precious. You only get a few hours. And so you really want to make the very best impression with the short time you have available. I once had a job candidate ask me about the housing market and how much homes tend to go for in the area. I was staggered. Here I was, ready to tell him anything he wanted to know about the institution, our strategic objectives, and the challenges we faced, and just about anything else he would need to know to be successful in the role. And here he was asking me about something that had no bearing on the job, about which I knew nothing, and he could easily answer with 10 minutes on Zillow. Needless to say, he did not get the position. And here's another thing. If the hiring manager really likes you and they're kind of hoping they can move you along the hiring process, they're going to be eager to give you information that you need to be successful. Here's the idea. Okay, I'm the hiring manager, I'm interviewing you, and I'm thinking, this person rocks. I really want them on board. I want to prepare them for future interviews with the vice president, with the CEO, with HR, whomever. So I'm going to telegraph you information. I am going to offer you information that can benefit you in these future interviews. Well, You want to ask questions that will allow me the opportunity to give you this information instead of me just spoon feeding it to you. Now, we're going to talk about this more in a future interview, but trust me, you want to give the hiring manager the opportunity to kind of coach you through the interview process. This is not the time to ask about completely trivial or off-topic things. So please, don't make this mistake. Show the employer through your questions that you have their best interest at heart, not just your own. And so there you go, everything you need to really prepare for the interview. Don't skip this step. I'm telling you, this is important. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to ace the interview itself. However, none of that will be possible if you've not done your homework. So make sure you figure out the company, the industry, everything going on so that by the time you show up, you're ready to shine. Okay? Until we meet up next, have a fantastic day. You know, I love talking shop, and so when I would have a job candidate come in and just be prepared to get down and dirty into the details of what we did, it frickin' made my day. And I'm telling you, those were always the top candidates.